Hello and welcome to the Functional Forum. It's been a busy summer for the evolution of medicine. Back in June, we headed to Guernsey for Journey to 100, trying to turn a sovereign nation into the first country to get to life expectancy 100. And at the end of the summer, we did the first Interpreting Your Genetics Summit. And hot on the heels, we have come to the Personalized Lifestyle Medicine Institute's conference at the W Hotel in Chicago to bring you the best bits and some of the best speakers from a truly transformational medical conference. Enjoy. So during this episode, we're going to hear not only from thought leaders on the cutting edge of functional and lifestyle medicine, but we're also going to hear from doctors who are actually delivering this on the ground in communities all over the country. Now, before we get into it, I have to address a rumor that's been going around this whole conference and in this hotel, is that there is a new blockbuster drug that is going to transform American medicine. And to address this rumor, here's Dr. David Katz, the president of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Take it away.
Imagine if the news were to break tomorrow on whatever glowing screen you happen to like best these days. There's a new drug available, approved by the FDA, for whatever that's worth. It's available in bountiful supply. It is stunningly free of side effects, shockingly inexpensive, safe enough for children and octogenarians alike, and taken once daily for the rest of your life will reduce your risk of ever getting any major chronic disease by 80%. Who do you call first? A doc for a prescription or your broker to buy stock? Frankly, both would be excellent decisions, but for the fact that there is no such pill, and in my professional opinion, there never will be any such pill. But lifestyle is exactly that medicine, and we've known about it since 1993 at least, and arguably since Hippocrates. This just goes on and on. All of these studies show the same 80% variance in aggregated chronic disease burden and risk of premature death. And frankly, this is one of the more impressive, consistent, repetitive, percussive drum beats in all of the peer-reviewed literature, with study after study after study after study telling us of the enormous power of lifestyle over nothing less than our medical destiny. This is the diabetes prevention program, where in high-risk adults, a lifestyle intervention was twice as good as the best drug we've got at preventing incident diabetes. This, I suspect, everybody knows. So lifestyle outperformed metformin 2-to-1 in people with pre-diabetes. But again, this message just reverberates through the literature with unbelievable power and consistency. And the reverberations of this drum go all the way to our pith and marrow, to within the double helix of DNA itself. And that's why there's so much to discuss with regard to genomics and nutrigenomics, but also the epigenomics to which Jeff has already referred with regard to CTE, but also everything else. So we have evidence that by altering what genes are doing, we can once again alter our medical destiny with lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andrea McSwain in Lansing, Michigan.
And I'm Dr. Lori Zattel in Marshall, Michigan. And our 1-minute tip is
To focus on collaboration with the people that are near you. Lori and I live about 50 miles apart. We're both in the beginning stages of our practice, and we're finding that really collaborating together is making us so much stronger. We're able to organize our thoughts better and break through some of the barriers that are inherent in the starting of a functional medicine practice.
And what we found is that we're more powerful if we're working on coming up with programming and ideas together. It's not a competitive thing at all. It's like, how can we help each other to be successful, to help as many patients as possible?
So now that we know what the blockbuster drug is, let's talk about how we're going to actually deliver this in private practice all across the country and all across the world. The Personalized Lifestyle Medicine Institute was started by Dr. Jeffrey Bland a few years ago, and their main conference, the Thought Leaders Consortium, has really been providing a 30,000-foot view of the future of medicine. Now what we're going to take a look at in this conference is something very different. How do you practically apply lifestyle medicine in private practice. And we're very excited to bring the keynote for this session from the founder, Dr. Jeffrey Bland himself, as he goes through the basis for a future of medicine built on lifestyle. It was an incredible 45 minutes. We got some of the best parts here. Enjoy.
We're involved in a non-placebo controlled great global experiment in genetic resiliency to a rapidly changing environment. And we're asking the question now, on a human level, cultural, world, global level, how resilient is the human genome to an unbelievably rapidly changing environment? And the news is the yellow canaries are telling not completely resilient, right? Because the yellow canaries are the first individuals with a genotype that is responsive to those changes. It's telling us that it's under alarm. And the conditions that we see prevalent in the world today are disorders that are associated with alarmed genes. They're going into defensive battle against a hostile environment. So when I hear people talk about that person has a disease gene, like for rheumatoid arthritis or systemic lupus erythematosus, an autoimmune disease, I say, no, they don't have a gene for that disease. They have a genetic response to an environment that maybe in a previous era and some distant ancestor gave them selective advantage against an infection that might have killed everybody else but not them. But now in this environment, it becomes a disadvantage because now you get the collateral damage to the individual from their genes responding as they were supposed to have responded some many generations ago. So I think the term disease almost is a little bit of a, it has an element of discrimination, I think, associated with it that makes a person feel unworthy or less than whole. But maybe they're actually super whole. It's just the environment they're in is not matched to their genetic uniqueness. Okay, so what is then personalized lifestyle medicine? And Dr. Minnick and I wrote this article a number of years ago in 2013, in which we tried to differentiate lifestyle medicine, which is, by the way, very valuable, to personalized lifestyle medicine, because we feel that the health of the world is really a result of the health of each individual, one at a time. And so if you want to get the world to be healthy, you need a bunch of healthy individuals. And each individual is slightly different one from another in how they respond to the same signals. So the more we can understand what signals turn on the right genes in those people, the health promoting characteristics, the more successful we'll be in creating a globally healthy community. Now that does not mean that public health is not valuable. It's extraordinarily valuable, but you probably know what's going on in public health now is its trajectory is towards what's called personalized public health. There's an intersection then between this two things that were previously separate. One over here was individual patient treatment, the over here was public health, and they never met. Now we're seeing, because of this new body of information that's coming about, that personalized precision public health is starting to emerge. So this ecosystem for personalized lifestyle medicine is an ecosystem with many different components. And I'm not going to go through this diagram in length, but people that were previously not even considered part of the healthcare community. And do you find it interesting that some of the major healthcare innovators now are Google and Apple and Microsoft and Cisco? I mean, you say, really? I mean, these aren't even things in the healthcare community, but they are because of the information content that is necessary to be digested to produce an understanding of this complex interaction of genes and environment. These companies have some leadership in how that information can be aggregated using machine learning or complex informatics. So there's many different parts of this community that we're starting to learn. These are our friends, right? And starting to converge to a new model of what healthcare would be. Including biometrics, including exercise physiology, including the whole area of behavioral psychology. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but there are many layers on this system that require collaboration. So we see then personalized lifestyle medicine as being part of this schematic view of health and disease that most of us grew up with in this room, in which we recognize that health or wellness can be on a very broad scale, from everything from optimal health on one end to the complete absence of health on the other, which we call death, right? And you can reside on various places within that continuum as an individual based upon how your genes are matched with your environment. And you may be somewhere before you're diseased, so you're just kind of chronically unwell. But generally, if your genes and environment are mismatched, the trajectory goes towards increasing severity, duration, and frequency of symptoms, which will get you eventually to a name of some ICD-10, right? Eventually. So this construct is involved with, let's early on understand the individual and help guide them by collaboration to find the right environment for their genes so that they don't move over that threshold when they are moving through their life process, which we call disease. And so this little cartoon kind of diagrams or symbolizes everything I'm talking about, that our information content, our legacy and our book of life is being impacted by signals that come from all sorts of things that turn on different messages within our genome. Some of those messages are alarm messages, other messages are bliss messages, and the bottom line is that most of us know where we are on that interface. If we really tune into our body, we can kind of tap into where we are on that sequence of events of how our genes are responding to our environment.
Peter Drucker once said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I'm super excited to announce that we have an epic intake of doctors into our Evolution of Medicine Practice Accelerator. The Practice Accelerator is designed to help practitioners like you build these practices of the future, how to take advantage of technology, and how to reduce the efficiency that's inherent in the first era of functional medicine. If you're ready to join the Practice Accelerator, go to goevomed.com/accelerator to join this phenomenal group of practitioners. If you want to find out more about the accelerator and you've never heard about it before, go to www.goevomed.com/brochure to get a free brochure to find out more about it. We hope that you'll join our Practice Accelerator community, and we'll see you there.
Hi, my name is Dr. Dominique Smith. I'm an integrative gynecologist from just outside of Atlanta in a small town called Lithonia, Georgia. My 1-minute tip to the group is to establish the fact that personalized lifestyle medicine should be modifiable to fit the actual cultural and I guess the norms for the patient that you sit with, right? So realizing that a person who you're trying to educate in terms of their lifestyle may have a lifestyle that is very culturally different than what you're thinking about, right? Not every woman wants to be a size 2 or can be a size 2. Not every woman can have the same dietary pattern. And so in order to reach that person and be convincing and have them to buy into that lifestyle that we're trying to educate them on, we need to take the time to identify certain nuances within that patient population that may make us either ineffective to them when we talk about personalized lifetime medicine.
My name is Christian Broca. I live in St. Louis, Missouri, and for the last 9.5 years, I have been successfully conducting a meetup group called SLIM, the St. Louis Institute of Integrative Medicine, and we have gotten together to bring awareness to the providers into the area that integrative medicine is alive and well. And if you are not part of a meetup group, part of the functional forum, you need to start one. There's plenty of groups out there. Just do a Google search. But if there isn't one in your area, then start one all on your own. It is an amazing networking opportunity for providers to have a referral network and to share ideas with like-minded providers. So I highly encourage you to do it.
course, and one of the things that's happening this September is the relaunch of the Evolution of Medicine Practice Accelerator. You're going to be hearing a lot more about it, but one of the stars of our Practice Accelerator, Dr. Lara Salyer from Monroe, Wisconsin, is actually not too far and came down to visit us to share a little bit about what she's up to. Now, if you know anything about Monroe, you know that it is the Swiss cheese capital of America, but Lara, what I hear is there's some new things afoot in Monroe, Wisconsin. So can you tell us what's going on?
Absolutely. I am launching Greene County's first functional medicine clinic, and it's only been open for 1 month, but already, due to the Practice Accelerator, we've had huge growth. Over 200 patients came to the grand opening, and it's been wonderful to stimulate our whole community to start thinking about health in innovative ways.
So what are some of the things that you took from the Practice Accelerator that you've implemented into the practice that have sort of accelerated this progress?
Well, I've felt that the Practice Accelerator was like a physical trainer for your entrepreneurial muscle. For decades, physicians are put into a 10-minute time frame and have to use tools that we worked hard to attain. The Practice Accelerator gives you those tools to build your own method. And everybody is unique. So depending on what the community needs, you can use a lot of the information given in the Practice Accelerator that leverages technology in ways that we never could in traditional settings. The autoresponders, a lot of the advice that you gave was wonderful to try and get our citizens and our community behind this new delivery of healthcare.
One of our visions for the accelerator is that it empowers an individual doctor to really transform the health of the community. What plans have you got in place to sort of deliver beyond just the four walls of a traditional clinic?
Right now, I am starting to look at getting a movie through tug.com and getting the community behind some different aspects of food and what they eat. So we're partnering with nutrition coaches. My clinic has a massage therapist and behavioral therapist. We're trying to show that health is a multimodality prospect, not just with a physician. We also are doing exercise, like a walk with a doc type program. And a lot of community events, dinner talks, free mini TED Talks where we get some of my staff out there and really engage with the community one-on-one.
So one of the things I've been super impressed with is just the documents, the graphics that you've come up with that I've shared on social media because they've been really well. Do you have an artistic streak? Was this just something that you felt compelled to do?
I do have an artistic streak. Amateur artist, and all the artwork on my walls is all from me. So this break away from the traditional medicine was my rebirth and my own personal hero's journey where I decided to give medicine the way I wanted. So a lot of my artwork is representing going against the grain and being authentic and curious, and I think patients are ready for that. So yeah, I love infographics and capturing people's attention and delivering little bites of information that are powerful.
I think you got a future in interviewing. Look at this. This is a very good interviewing. So look, just one thing about the Practice Accelerator. We are bringing together a community of doctors that are doing it, really doing it. And one of the coolest things about the Accelerator, if you go into our Facebook group and you post a question, you're going to get answers from doctors like Dr. Salyer before probably I have an opportunity to even get in there. And the knowledge and the inspiration and the practical skills of what's happened from people who have actually been doing it is totally transformative. And so I just want to appreciate you for not only sticking your neck out and actually doing it, you know, that takes a lot, but also the support that you provide to everyone else in the group is helping literally hundreds of other doctors achieve their vision. And I see so many doctors here at this conference who really want to do it, and it's cool to have a conference and come to get inspired for a weekend, but what are you actually going to do when the rubber hits the road when you get home? And having that supportive community is ongoing. We're building at the Practice Accelerator.
Hi, my name's Swathi Rao, and I am a provider at a practice called Be Well Family Care. Our motto in our office is that you have to eat well, sleep well, move well, and poop well in order to be well. And the thing that we do differently in our office is instead of just teaching patients the mechanics of how to do this, we're trying to implement that into their lifestyle. So we are doing group visits in a teaching kitchen. We do stepper classes where we can exercise during our office visits. We have all kinds of different facets that we can actually bring all of that into reality so that patients can actually make a difference and change their attitudes to, I want to be that person that has optimal health, to, I am that person that provides optimal health.
There's been a lot of really great information here at the conference, and here's another segment that I think you'll really enjoy.
So the question we all have is, how do we get 80% of the results by only investing 20% of your time, right? So this is where the next gentleman, his name is C. Northcote Parkinson, he's going to teach us a principle. His principle is called the Parkinson's Principle of Productivity. And what he says is work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. So how about we shrink the time we use for this stuff that only gives us 20% yield, right? How do you start shrinking that? Well, you've got to start looking at the things that you do that you really don't need to be doing. There are some things you should be doing now. There's some things you can do later. There's many things you should be delegating. This is a graph that you can look at, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but it teaches you how to bucket things in order to know what you should be doing now, later, or never. So you're nailing it and scaling it, right? You want to try to use a minimum viable product. So what that means is, like, when I started my practice, and actually the website that I have up is through Wix.com. It's a build your own website. I could have spent thousands and thousands of dollars to have someone build my website. But you know what? My website is not what sells me for what I notice in my market. It's word of mouth. When people have word of mouth, they go to the website, and so long as I look semi-credible and the page looks pretty, they call. Do you know what I'm saying? That works for my population. So I had the minimum viable product for the website. In my office, I have a minimum viable type of situation. I used to have a 4,000 square foot facility, but now that I do more telemedicine and we have virtual coaching, that I was able to downsize into a smaller space. Minimum viable product. Was it nice to have tons of space? If it works and it's part of what you need for your brand, yes. But if it's not, use your minimum viable product. Like, you gotta avoid loss. Rent or your mortgage is a big loss if it's a big number, right? Payroll. You've got to have a minimum viable product. Low burn by design, no scaling until revenue. Don't scale it before you're sure it works and before you're making money on it, okay? So agile development. So here's my story. So I started doing group medical appointments out of need. I nailed it and scaled it. I saved time and money. And then my husband had the brilliant idea of videotaping me doing group visits, and he put them online so that people could be assigned homework. So if they didn't come, I can't teach you in an 18-minute insurance visit, so you have to watch your homework before you see me. So decision fatigue, because they came in already knowing so much about the gut or bones or thyroid that I didn't have to go through. The thyroid is a gland in your neck. Decision fatigue, time fatigue with technology. Then I added on a health coach, saved time, made money, and it helped with decision fatigue. I don't have to answer the questions that the coach can answer. Now, with the extra time, when I whittled down my dark blue circle, if you will, I love to teach. It's one of my things, and I love having the extra time to do it. I love creation. I love art, so I like to create things in the business world, but I also am taking on an interest in fine arts because I want to be a balanced person myself. What I do is I have a membership practice, and people pay a monthly fee for services that are not covered through insurance, and so that's what we call residual revenue. People pay whether they come in or not, so I always have 80% of my revenue coming from membership. Whether they come or not, I have money coming in, which is different from a cash-based practice. And now I don't want any more members because I take care of them primary care style. So now if I want more patients, I do consults, fee for service on top of my members. So if I feel like, oh, I'd like to travel to Africa, I think I'll take a few more consult patients or whatever in my mind I've worked out.
Hi, my name is Ramona Wallace, and I'm here at the Lifestyle Medicine Conference, and it's been pretty fantastic so far. I learned really how important it was to look at my own goals in practice and really get a good perspective on what I'm doing to bring forward functional medicine into the West Michigan area. And one of the things that Dr. Saxena was talking about today was that 20% of the patients that are consuming 80% of my time, and how I need to really restructure what I need to do best for the patients and understand how to help them the most. And through this evidence-based, it's really given me a lot of strength and fortitude to go forward to redress and empower the patients across the board so that my time is used more efficiently.
Remember a few years ago when we used to have sponsors on the Functional Forum and we would interrupt the content to hear from those sponsors? Well, we canned all the sponsors because now we're the sponsor. If you have not read The Evolution of Medicine, you can get a free copy of the book at goevomed.com/freebook. And if you've read the book and you like the book, you can order some books to give to all the doctors in your community at the exact moment that they show an interest in your practice. I know that doctors and practitioners all around the country are coming into contact with other doctors who see the results in a patient that maybe they share with. Perfect time to give them the book. They'll think you're great. They'll give you loads of referrals and it'll be a great move. So this break is brought to you by The Evolution of Medicine. Get the book. All right, we are here with Dr. Anup Kanodia, who is one of the speakers here today, and just finished your lecture, Doc. And one of the things that I came across really well for me was just you had an idea of these 6 questions that need to be answered for people to actually make a lifestyle change. And I know that practitioners at home are dealing with this all the time. So can you break that down for the people at home?
Right. So 6 things. When we're looking at what do people want to know? Should I do nutrition or not? Why are you making the decision that you're making? What are the alternatives to your decision? What are the risks and benefits? What's the uncertainty of it, of this decision you're making? You have to ask them, do they understand what's going on? Most times they don't actually understand what you're telling them.
Yeah.
Take the supplement, how you take it, or the supplement, or the food. Also, is it okay to do this? Is it your preference to do this? Most times we push something on them, and they don't really want to do it.
This is a fundamental realignment in how to practice and how to engage people into the process, isn't it?
Correct. The average doctor does 1 out of these 6.
Yeah.
And so we wonder, why are people not making lifestyle modifications? Because we're not addressing 5 of the 6 reasons that they're going to actually make that lifestyle modification.
It seemed like maybe you learned this the hard way at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I was racking my brain. Why are these people not doing what we tell them to do?
Yeah.
It's because we think we know how to tell them. We don't.
So it's more of a conversation than telling them everything, right? That was the name of the talk, was about having real conversations with patients.
It's a two-way street. You know, the average doc talks more than they actually listen.
Yeah.
They never really engage the patient. They never look them eye in the eye, to heart to heart.
Yeah. One of the things you said at the end, which was interesting, was like asking them out of 10 how likely they are to do this protocol. And maybe that's a quick way, even in a short visit, even if you're practicing right now just doing, traditional medicine, where you can really sort of get into some real talk with people in a short period of time.
Right. So you've outlined a 3-step, 5-step process for a patient. I say, read those 3 steps. Take a second. How realistic are you going to do these 3 steps on a scale of 1 to 10? If they score 6 or lower, they're not going to do it.
Have you found that patients can accurately score themselves?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they know themselves.
They know themselves. Say, the next month, 2 months, what's the realistic? And they'll say a 5, a 4, or an 8. And then if it's an 8, you have a chance.
Yeah.
If it's a 4, let's make another plan.
Beautiful. One of the things that I felt from your talk was a sort of a significant level of empathy, because you one of the things you talked about was how to put yourself into the patient's shoes. So can you talk about like how you do that and what other clinicians can do at home to maybe create a bigger level of empathy or a more significant level of empathy in a short period of time?
So after they tell you their symptoms about their IBS, fibromyalgia, take a second and say, what would it feel like if I had those same symptoms? And just use a sentence, 1 sentence, say, I can imagine it is frustrating to have those symptoms. Or I can imagine it's scary to feel that way for 10 years now. When you do that, you shift the conversation from just a doctor-patient to a true or real conversation. This doctor actually cares for me. I might be able to build trust. There might be commitment here. That's that empathy. When you do that heart-to-heart connection, that one sentence, you have a 10,000% better chance of connecting with the patient. A 10,000% better chance of them actually doing something, starting a process, completing it, and recover.
I mean, that's a pretty significant number.
It's a big number, and it just takes 10 seconds of your time.
Let me ask you, is that something that has to be done? Is there a certain provider that has to do that, or does that just have to be someone in the provider team?
Anyone on the team. So my skill set is figuring out why someone is sick. Yes, I do. Yes, I incorporate these things, but we have a health coach. Our health coach's goal is to be their friend. That's all the goal is. Yeah. So she is very empathetic. She's not sympathetic. She doesn't cry with them, but she empathizes with them and says, yes, this must be really hard. Let's help you. So it can be your front desk. It can be the dietitian, the health coach, anyone, the nurse.
People, just want to be heard. Well, look, I have to say it was a really compelling presentation. You know, all the way through this weekend, we've been hearing about what does it actually take to facilitate personalized lifestyle medicine, and lifestyle medicine includes the patient. And I just want to share my appreciation for what you brought on the stage, what you brought here today. And for those of you listening at home, if you can put any part of this into practice, you're going to see significant results. 10,000% sounds like a reasonable bet to me.
Right. Well, and I want to thank you, James, for everything that you're doing for the community. I really mean it. We were talking off stage about how much traveling he does, and we should all give thanks. So if you're watching this, please put a comment below and say, hey, thank you, James. I really appreciate all the work you're doing, for the whole community.
Strong squad over here at PLMI. Thanks, Dr. Kanodia. Why did you guys start the LMRC? What was the starting point for it?
When we look at clinicians, if you look at Dr. Bland and the whole functional medicine movement, it's gaining steam. The flywheel effect is happening. And there's a lot of, unlike a lot of the mavericks of old who had kind of, blazed the trail, there's a lot of you even here in this room, along with some new people that are coming alongside that and trying to do this medicine better. And so we really feel like if we're going to transform the practice of medicine, we have to give you tools, and we have to give you resources, and we have to give you things to help you actually implement this medicine better. So when we talk about implementation, the whole focus of this event here, that's really what we're looking to do at the Lifestyle Matrix Resource Center, is give you implementation tools to communicate and reinforce important functional medicine concepts to help your patients learn and get better.
The first time I came across it was actually the group visits where Shilpa had, I think the first one was in one area and then you built more. Yep. What is it about the group visit structure that fits so nicely into what you're talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of the tools that we've created are really designed to be used at the very beginning of the time when you're meeting a patient for the first time, all the way to the follow-up visit, and then through to the group visit. And there's so many times as clinicians, you'll see a patient on that initial office visit, you'll do additional lab work that needs to be done, and then sometimes you develop your treatment plan, and then sometimes it's 3 to 4 months maybe before you retest that patient or re-engage with that patient. And so the idea with the group visit is that it allows you to keep the patient tethered to you, see them back maybe a month to a month and a half after that follow-up visit. You can get paid for it, whether you're in an insurance practice or you're in a cash-based practice. And group visits will really help clinically, financially, and operationally for you to really take your practice and do some really unique things with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really thrilled that you guys created that, because there are people that want to do it, but how to operationalize ideas, right? The last thing I just wanted to ask you about, in our Practice Accelerator, we've definitely identified that when you're starting a practice from scratch, niching into a certain niche, whether it be like digestive health or hormone health or whatever that is the quickest way, because people don't think they need personalized lifestyle medicine. In fact, they never even heard of that before, or functional medicine, or whatever word you put in front of medicine that they don't know. In their mind, they're just like, not the real medicine, right? They just know they have a digestive issue. They know they have IBS, in there. So can you just share a little bit about what you've done to sort of facilitate, to make it easy for doctors to practice in a niche?
Yeah, so our programs that we've developed focus around the areas of stress, immune, and the gut. And if you think about, we call that the core, and that's really where most of you are all day, every day with the majority of your patients. And really, prioritizing depending on what they're coming in and what they're presenting with. So our modules that we've developed are around those primary areas, and then we're also developing out our cardiometabolic program, our Well Matrix Foundation Nutrition program, things that, you're going to be seeing a lot of those types of patients. But these are complex topics. They're complex ideas. When you're talking about immune, stress, gut, and those systems and how they work together, there's a lot of complexity there. So how do you take, all of this information that you learned at a conference like this or at any functional medicine conference and translate all this high-level information down to a patient level? And that's really what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I would highly recommend, whether it's the Practice Accelerator or resources from the LMRC or some combination of the both, having some sort of way for you guys to have a communication in between conferences. I know it's really awesome to come to a conference and get inspired and have a list of things that you want to do differently, but when you come across that first roadblock in implementing whatever that might be, having someone who either has done it before or a community of practitioners is so important, because you don't want that first stumbling block to stop your momentum. And there's a long time between conferences. This conference next year is a year away. If you really want to make progress in the next 12 months, you're going to have to implement outside of this and some of those resources. And I know that you guys have actually people in the organization now who are dedicated to supporting those channels, right?
That's right. So on the inside, from a marketing perspective, we don't hire marketers per se to manage these brands. We hire clinicians because they've been in practice, they understand the things and the challenges that you have. And then we're working with people like Dr. Saxena on the outside to speak into some of the things that we're creating, so that by the time we bring it to you, it's really, really robust. And so we have a lot of implementation support. We work with you guys via Zoom, you and your staff, to help you integrate group visits, so that you understand the logistics, how many patients you're seeing, the most effective way to do it. It's really the 80-20 rule that Shilpa talked about, in all of this. It's like we often do things because it's just the way it's always been done. But right now, especially in healthcare, there's a lot of disruption happening, and so it's just being exposed and taking a close look at what's available to you, so that you can actually do what you do and do it better, and actually get paid for what you do, which
Absolutely.
would be a great bonus.
I think that slide that John put up yesterday about taking a goal, splitting it up into the sub-goals, and then those sub-goals into sub-sub-goals, and thinking about it, I think that kind of structure is what needed to facilitate your practice goals here. So you may want to just take a few minutes to think about what is the major thing. Like your brain has been transformed to a certain degree about what's possible, I think, hopefully by this weekend, and will continue to be. And so now it's all about taking that back and implementing it. Everyone in this space at this moment is betting on the physician entrepreneur. We're all betting on it. I think it's a good bet, but ultimately, whether or not it succeeds or fails is sort of out of our control. We're doing as much as we can to be able to facilitate that. It's on you guys to be able to do it. So anything that we can do at the Evolution of Medicine, at the Lifestyle Matrix Resource Center, at Orthomolecular, we are in the business of empowering clinician entrepreneurs to build the medical practices of the future. So go get them. Thanks so much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed coming to the conference and making it. It was a truly transformative medical conference, and we look forward to coming back next year. Now, next month, we are going to be looking at the future of functional, and particularly how coaching and community can transform functional medicine and make it available for everyone. Make sure to tune in the next episode. We'll see you next time.